Thank you for the energetic introduction, Christina. And what a joy to present a panel on day 2 when all the new faces from day 1 have become good friends. So nice that you're all here. And with me, I'm proud to share the stage, and I will introduce them quickly later. They will do the rest of the talking. We have Dirk Willeke from Vodafone here. You can read more about them up here. We have Sabine Kreschel from Bosch, and we have Stefan Keil from SAP. One panel member, unfortunately, is sitting at the dentist now. These are have more time to answer your questions. And since you have been to several panels and you're used to that the panelists speak first, in this case, our topic is coaching in organizations. So we're coming really to the practical thing. How do you establish a successful coaching culture? We want to turn it a little bit around to keep it exciting. So they will speak, but first you will speak. So we want to ask you to turn to each other for like 1 or 2 minutes and talk about what do you want to get out of this panel? What are you here? You know, what is it? What's exciting for you coaching in organizations? So we'll give you 2 minutes to warm up a little bit, to get your head around it, and then of course I want to hear some wishes for this panel, and then the lady and the gentleman, will dig right into your questions. Are you good? If you do not, you know, the nicest person might be behind you. All right, just take 2 minutes, warm up a little bit. What do you want to get out of this panel? All right, this is how fast 2 minutes pass when you have a lot to say. Oh, we have like, whoa, okay. Christina, would you be my faithful microphone helper? All right, we would like to hear what's going on. Who would like to go? Christina will pass now.
Yes, is that okay that you have questions?
So I would like to know how you meet challenge to introduce a coaching culture to the management of your company. Short question, I'm very curious of your answer.
Take some more, right? Correct, please.
In general, I'm curious, what do you mean by coaching culture? How do you live the coaching culture, if you do? And we had another one. I'm just speaking to them. What I hear from the leaders I get together, I ask them, do you coach your people? And they say, no, I wouldn't say I coach them. I wonder what stops them and how we can support. What do you do to support the leaders?
Wonderful. I've seen Guido going up here. One of the first.
I wanted to ask about how you approach the question of continuous funding for that coaching culture, the skills, who's paying for all of this?
I've seen a couple of times also on this, I'll come back on this side, but I've seen Guido earlier.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
I would be curious on your experience about where to put your effort on. Is it on those who are already converted and are fans of coaching so that they would spread? Or rather to work on the large tail of those who have never heard of coaching or think this is also suspicious? So what in your point of view is the best strategy? Which group?
We have seen the light.
I would love to see a organization when you come in the morning and you go in the afternoon or in the evening, you're more fulfilled than in the morning. And is coaching probably a tool or a way how to achieve this?
I have one more over there.
I'm curious to learn more about what makes you believe that you have a coaching culture.
Trista has a question.
When you're building a coaching culture, what's the role of internal coaches and workshop facilitators versus external?
Okay.
I'm wondering, how are you building a coaching culture? Who is building the coaching culture? When is it built and how does it show?
So we have 1 hour, you know that, everyone, yes? Just don't want to be the party. Thanks.
My question is more around, over the course of the conference, and I'm sure many stories, around, coaching for LinkedIn after leaving the corporate world. So I'm curious what happens when, through coaching, we discover that people want to leave work, and how that also ties into how we measure coaching being successful and being influencer.
You ready for that one? Yes.
Yeah, say one more. Yeah.
Relax.
Thank you. So thank you for this opportunity to ask questions upfront. I wonder, so all these our big DAX companies, they have incorporated coaching in their culture.
No DAX company.
I'm sorry. But big companies, what advice do you have to bring coaching to the German Mittelstand? Because this would affect even more people positively.
Yes. Oh, there could be a good question from Thomas yesterday. Anyone else? 3, 2, 1.
We will have another round later, so thanks for warming up with your questions. I would like to they all have a lot to say. They could fill a whole evening, each of them. We had a pre-session, which was amazing. So I would just like to go in this order, if you allow, and give everyone 5 minutes the opportunity just to showcase what they think is their coaching culture. And as the Human Brain works, they will go into some of your questions, but not in all. But I wrote them down. If they're not answered now, you either pose the question again, or I'll remind them. Okay, so let's just hear out Vodafone. Dirk, nice that you're here. I'll give you the microphone.
Yes, thank you. I'm Dirk Wilke. I'm based in Düsseldorf, Germany. I'm working for Group in Vodafone Group, a national company with 15 markets, 340 million customers. Many about mobile communication, telco services, IoT services. And I'm heading up the department of analytics and machine learning experts. That's my main job. I'm an engineer. And I'm also a coach and mediator. I'm ICF PCC certified, and it's a passion to support people. And I founded 5 years ago within the company in Germany a coaching pool. So we started with 5 coaches. And our mission was to give coaching to everybody, not just to executives. And some of your questions were around funding. And we convinced the management that we created a contract which creates a framework for the coaches and for all employees, that the confidentiality is guaranteed, that it can be coached during business hours, it's working time, there's no approval, there's no reporting. And that was the foundation for a coaching pool, which is about 40 coaches today. The questions around what is the coaching culture is a super good question. And for me, it's twofold. On one hand, we have the professional coaching, it might be internal or external. And we have a coaching culture, the manager's coach, it's a kind of buzzword. I don't believe in that, but it's something which happens as well. But also the culture, how to lead people. So coming from very directive style of leadership towards more agile way of working, empower people on the ground, product owner taking more decisions. But also how to lead people is quite interesting in terms of coaching mindset. And to close with my introduction here, I believe coaching mindset is not one single thing. It's expanding skill set. So sometimes people need a direction, sometimes people need knowledge, and sometimes you want to grow. So it's expanding your skills with coaching mindset, coaching tools and methods, and that would be my answer to what is coaching culture.
Thanks, Dirk. Yeah, I'm Sabine Kröschel. I'm working for Bosch Digital. So why I pronounce it or make this happen, or let's say it's digital, because we are the IT, the central IT for Bosch worldwide. You know, the small company Bosch, around 400,000 people around the globe. We have 11,500 people living in this in IT. So we are really sometimes like a big company to that, organized with a headquarter. And so we have here a community, I would say, which is called We Coach Bosch. And subsidiaries, more or less, for example, We Coach Bosch Digital. So we have here internal coaches, and you see it here on the slide. I'm a senior project manager, so my full-time job is to lead a project on the one hand, but we also have the possibility to give here the coaching aspect and to coach our people as a really coach in sense of ICF, to go this way to support our people here to growth, to get career development, for example. I'm working with uncertainties, etc. in different topics in that where we support the people. And we are not doing often as you do it, we do it for our associates overall. So equal if there is an executive member, if it's let's say middleware, no, it's not middle management, so not middleware, until more ideal spoken, and also the normal associates. Additionally, we have so-called HR enterprise coaches, which is really our board members and the level below, and also the HR team coaches. But our coaching is different. It's really that what we are pointing out here with ICF, what we understand with the coaching. And to go this way, we have for Bosch Digital 26 coaches. They are certified. And we have 3 very engaged persons which are here related to that and checking if there is a certification, if the coaches, the internal coaches also working on it, have regular coachings, and also to give here some learnings, supervision sessions, for example, we have to strengthen here the coaching culture. These 3 persons or people also doing marketing. So they are writing articles for our newsletter or newspaper, Bosch Zünder, for example. What is coaching? Because we are still facing the problem that is not understand what is coaching. And they also negotiate, for example, the funding with our CFO. And we are in a lucky position because these 3 people are related not to HR, they are related to our resource management, so-called, or 1+1 we are saying. It's a senior vice president, Juba Lakshmi, she's sitting in India, and she's by her own also a coach, a certified coach. And this is something which, the passion is there, so we can keep this alive. Nevertheless, we have KPIs, for example, to make it transparent also to our CFO in direction of how many sessions we are conducting, what is the wide spreading from countries. I have coaches from India, over Italy, France, to UK, and also Germany for themselves. But doing there, also the 26 coaches have the possibility to speak in 9 different languages. And this is also something. We really do the culture within Bosch, so that we have there the possibility to help the people in their mother tongue and also in their culture, individual culture from the country, for example. And this is something which is really where I'm proud of, because to give here something back, what I get out of from Bosch, from the other Bosch colleagues. Hoping what is in at SAP, most likely.
One, please. Yes, thank you very much. And first, I would like to say thank you for all the questions, and I think we could write a book about it. because that's enough for a really thick book. And yes, Stefan Kreiber, I have been working for SAP for 30 years and working as a coach for about 15 years at SAP in the transformation office. And I would like to start with a story. About 20 years ago, I was the project manager for a challenging project. The project didn't work as good as I thought it should work. And I thought, I'll quit. I'll quit. I can't do this anymore. And just by accident, I met a coach in a taxi. So we shared a taxi to the airport in Greece. And she said she's a coach. And I said, coach, what? Coaching? You know, football coach, whatever. And then I thought, okay, maybe before I quit, I just, you know, ask the coach. And I thought the coach tells me what I have to do. And luckily she was a systemic coach, and of course it was so obvious it's systemic. You know, it's not me, it's not the software, it's the surrounding which influences the whole project. And then I realized that whatever I do, this project will not be successful in this constellation. So I changed that, I realized that, and eventually I started a coaching education by myself, just as I would say by accident. And again, I was at SAP, I met somebody, you know, we just had actually I picked up a cup of coffee, very important at SAP, and yeah, I knew this person from the past and said, oh, what are you doing? And you know, we chat, oh, I started a coaching education. And then he said to me, yeah, you could fit to us, you could fit, you know, what does it mean? And then he invited me to a gathering, and what I found out that he and a couple of other people had the idea that coaching is a great thing at SAP. So they asked a manager, and I'm pretty sure I know this manager, who decided to take a year off. So he was open for a change and provided budget. It was not a lot, a couple of thousand Deutschmark at this point of time, so not a lot. But a couple of people said, yes, let's implement coaching at SAP. So it was not implemented in a way it emerged. It was a pure grassroots initiative. So, you know, you meet somebody who says, you fit to this group. Then, of course, we had already, in the very beginning, a kind of a standard. So a kind of an ethical standard thing. And also we checked that all the coaches were, you know, trained. And so we did this for a couple of years, and then HR noticed that there's something, you know, coming up. And then they said, we have to have this on a global level. So coming back, so they spent the money and said, let's train coaches according to ICF standards. And this is how it started. But you can imagine what happens in Germany. You know, the baby in Germany is growing, and they want to have the baby only in Germany, and now you have an international standard, which we don't understand because we have fantastic coaches in Germany. You know, in Heidelberg, probably those of you know, Gunther Schmidt, Bernd Schmidt, you know, Wolfgang Schmidt, one of the Schmidts, one fantastic people from family therapy and health healing, and you name them, and suddenly there's an international company who says how coaching works. But it was the only way, I have to say, which allowed us to work on a global level. And now we have about 600 coaches in our database, and all of them work part-time. So I'm the exception. But usually they work part-time because we want the people are attached to the business. It makes a huge difference, as I say, usually coaching doesn't matter what you do, but I don't know what it is, but I can tell you when I coached managers in India already 12 years ago, it was so easy to connect, because when you know the pressure, when you know how projects run, when you know when you have a customer escalation, you don't have to talk a lot. But there's a kind of empathy or whatever it is, which makes it so easy to start with. And since then, we are coaching people on a one-to-one basis, like on a platform. But we also support projects like the Harmonized Product Operating Model, which I have presented yesterday, where we have a clear contract, I would say, where we support the transformation. And this is extremely, I would say, successful, yes, we can say yes and useful for the management. And we keep continuing what we do.
Thank you for reacting to my subtle body language. Well, here's 3 different stories, but we see patterns emerging. And one pattern is it does help when you have a senior manager who knows how to coach and knows what coaching is. We have a crowd here that seems to be interested in the how-to and the practical stuff. Like, where do you get the money from? How do you do that with a budget? And when you answer, can you also combine that in this series of answers with what was the biggest challenge that you overcame in getting to where you are now? So where do you get the money from, and what is the biggest challenge? Choose your order.
Yeah, the money is coming from the CFO direct. So we have a budget allocated to that, and we booking our hours on this budget. That's one of the key facts, I would say. That's why she is getting. We have a female leader to that. Andrea is getting also in a quarter the information, how many sessions we had, how many coaches we had, what is let's say the countries we are working on it, and what are the top 3 coaching use cases we are working on it. We have a tagging at the end. For example, personal development, career development, working with uncertainties, working on values, for example, as an example to that. And that's and additionally we have after or by ending a coaching journey, let's say it this way, we have a form, and there are 13 or 14 questions on it, and 10 behind are with a star rating, and I have really to say we have a 5-star rating from our coaches overall. And this is really a tremendous success to say that, because this is working. Yeah, we have really confidential and really a good collaboration with our coaches, and they pay this to us back. So that we are also, this is a point that, or an argument to say, dear Andrea, you see, it works. There is a return of investment, more or less, yeah, not in figures on money, but to be here to have heavy or more heavy associates inside, and to support them there. And one of my first coachee, I have to say, and this was really struggling with myself. We had 3 sessions, and then she said she will leave Bosch because I helped her to see that Bosch is not her company. And this is one of the things where, so we're crying and I'm laughing, yeah, but now she is in another company, and I have still that contact with her, and he is now really happy doing her passion on the business side, and also what she's driving on the private side, to say that.
Have you gotten feedback on the turnaround rate of people leaving after coaching?
No, this is secret. I very often start with an introduction call, where I start with an introduction call, and there I point out that I'm coaching for Bosch, but my focus is not to have them in Bosch, because it matters to the people at the end, and sometimes it's not the right company.
And that is okay with a budget provider?
Yeah, because we don't have this KPI who is leaving. Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Did you talk about your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge?
No, not yours, but the biggest challenge in implementing and getting where you are now?
No, it was really easy to be, because they are also have open arms. They are lucky to have coaches with us, and it is we have a wide area what focuses of the coaches. So not only systemic coaches, hypnosis, and what else. Sometimes it's really when I say, what the hell is doing with this coach? And we did some new thing that we have also our mediators with us. So if there is really something, a hurdle, more stressy hurdle, so we have also mediators with us in our team. There's a question I would say.
One, I would just otherwise just go through this round and then we open for another round of questions. Is that good? Okay, well then, please, keep coming.
Thank you so much. So you mentioned that you measure the response or the feedback from participants or coachees, and 5 stars, I think it's amazing that you have that. Now, if you look at different ways of measuring the impact of learning and development, there's, for example, the Kirkpatrick model, right? And level 1 would be immediate feedback from participants of such an initiative. Level 4 would be that we actually have business impact. Now, not only you, but also the other panel participants, have you ever measured that, or have you been able to measure that? And I'm asking out of curiosity, really, because I think this is also one of the things when we work with CFOs, and in your case, I mean, you're very fortunate that your CFO believes in this, which makes it easier. But if they don't believe in it, they want to see numbers.
Yeah, so we don't measure that on this level, I have to say, because we are saying this is really a trusted collaboration, and we will not to have this figure on it. You have to believe it and work with it. It's more in this direction, yeah.
First, regarding the money, as I said, at first you need somebody who wants to make this happen. So you ask for budget, and then a miracle will happen. One thing. The challenge starts later, because then you have to have a yearly budget for certification, for training fund. And you can imagine when you have 600 coaches, how do you make sure that everybody is trained or gets the support they need? And this is, I think, an ongoing topic. So to maintain the high level of coaching is certainly a challenge, I think, in all companies. And just can say, do not underestimate how much effort it is to maintain a coaching pool. What we also do, for example, here in this harmonized product operating model, we work with external coaches in parallel. So we work as power couples. So it makes it easier for the externals to work within SAP, and also the internals learn from each other, and we are by far more effective. When you say you want to measure it, that's of course how can you measure coaching? Again, there are many books out there. Of course, we have kind of a quick feedback what we do. So just to make sure that the coach is doing something which is hopefully the right thing. But I think we have to start smaller. To measure it for the whole company is probably too much. If we say, okay, we do it for one project, even this is a challenge. But to start smaller, to say, okay, we do an implementation, we as coaches with a professional support for the people who are supporting this transformation, or let's say affected by this transformation. I think this will be a great starting point.
Okay, from my side, the funding was pretty simple, because at the end it's about a bit of money for supervision. It's about the external coaching, which is funded anyway for executives. And of course, there are kind of implicit costs that everybody who's coaching during working hours is paid by Vodafone. But since we have a frame contract, a Betriebsvereinbarung between the employer and the Works Council in place, that is kind of a given. It's unlimited, so it has to be kind of cancelled before, after half a year, 1 year would expire. So that is kind of given for us, it's great. In terms of measuring success, we also, same as you, we have a survey which is optional, which the coaches can fill in. It's an NPS scoring, which is 100, which is not too bad. And we also have dedicated questions around what is the impact of the coaching, did you achieve your goals, did you face any change in behavior based on the coaching, and this kind of questions, which we also got very good feedback on. In terms of challenges, I would just think it's not about the management buy-in because they know what coaching can do. It was hard to convince the works councils, we have several of that, because they came up with the assumption, why do you want to do that? What's the downside of it? Do you want to measure performance? Do you want to improve effectiveness? And we need to convince them about coaching is really for the employees. There's no hidden goals. And that was one challenge. Also because the company was used to have coaching in terms of sales coaching, performance coaching. And we need to convince them this is business coaching, which is completely different. There's no fixed goal, there's no preset outcome. It's purely up to the employees to explore what they want to achieve. This was a big challenge for us to get this into the heads of the works council members, which are sometimes a bit past-locked, I would say, sometimes. And the second challenge is still ongoing. We created this coaching pool 5 years ago, and we started small with 6 coaches. That's why we didn't promote it that much in the beginning, but over time we did promote it in the annual all hands, in the newsletters, and so on, in different meetings, HR meetings, and so on. And we still face a lot of people who just say, oh, coaching pool? Never heard of that. So to promote it in a way that it really reaches the guys, the people who are busy all day long and who most likely benefit from coaching, remains a challenge.
Thank you for being so open and so specific. And I just wanted to add that these 3 representatives here are members of the Coaching and Organizations Group of ICF Germany. And there are many more here in the room. We're a very lively group. Would you just identify yourselves? Yeah. So internal coaches, external coaches from all over Germany that have been collaborating now intensely for the last half year. And we have created together, among other things, a survey that we sent out to organizations. We will talk later about it in our session. And what was really interesting, and of course it didn't happen here, but one answer that we got about, so how do you know that your coaching was effective, was the answer, and Francesca will laugh now, keine Ahnung. We don't know. So it's really highly interesting that on the one side people ask, there seems to be such a big factor to convince the budget owners, but on the other hand, it is really, there has to be a lot of work done to measure the impact of coaching. And another thing that we found out, many people say, oh, it's so difficult to implement coaching, but we also hear what people say it wasn't difficult, and many organizations said it wasn't difficult. So it doesn't have to be hard per definition. It's just that you have to start at the right point, at the sweet spot. And let's hear again, some of you said it, but let's sharpen it. What was your sweet spot? Who started the coaching movement in your organization? Which department or which crowd? Because I know it's different ones.
But as I said before, it was just it was an employee from a department. I think it was product management or HR. I can't remember. Yes, they started. I think it's you need some people who want to make it happen. That's the point. If you don't have them, like a community of practice, you need people who are convinced that coaching is the right thing. They are happy to invest time, and usually they don't get paid extra money for that. I think that's the point to do. That's also maybe the question: is it initiated by HR? This is also depends on the country, on the culture. You know, not quite sure if this is always the right thing to implement it. This is the question. I think the best thing is if it emerges and it's not implemented.
Yeah, in our case, at Bosch Digital, former organization before, it was DBE. So the development part of our organization at the end. Because there we had also a leader who relies on coaching, and we had, I have to say it really, in the past, we had a lot of associate surveys, and then we go as moderator in workshops to fix it. And the colleague noticed that is not the right way to do it in this way anymore to fix something with the team or with the leader. So going in direction of coaching at the end. To strengthen here the strengths and to see what can be changed. And this was, let's say, like a seed in growing up. This is what it is like it is right now. And from the team, that's an original team member. One of the persons is still in resource management, and he is driving this topic still. So.
Yeah, and in Vodafone Germany, it was actually a bunch of people from different areas who just came together and did some brainstorming. There was one guy from HR who was part of managing the external coaches, but also different departments were involved. It was a bunch of people who just have a passion for coaching and try to do something. So it was not created from top down, it was just a bottom-up initiative. And due to the fact that we had different people from different departments, we could connect to different managers and get also sponsorship from it.
Highly interesting that we're discovering another pattern, to let it be merged, coaching cultures emerge. There's people with a passion, and we found out in our survey it can also come from the IT department, it can come from sales, it doesn't always have to come from HR, it can come from China. So people with a passion, and let it emerge and feed that passion. In the beginning, there was a question, how do you define a coaching culture? There is a definition of what a coaching culture is according to ICF. I don't have it exactly in my mind now. There's several factors, but you can find it on the website of Global, CIO Global. They're really putting more and more content on there. Robert is presenting upstairs at the moment, but if you can get a hold of him or Malcolm, they will be able to answer you. So there is a definition, and one of the factors I know, and that is coaching has to be available for everybody in the organization. Then you can say that you have a coaching culture. We are almost through our hour, and thank you everyone. I know it was a long, hot sip, but there was a lot of insight, I hope. And are there more questions?
So, because the title says that, culture, insights, challenges, and what's next. So I just want to ask, from your implementation of coaching practices inside the organization, if you all could share at least one insight that you learned while implementing the whole thing, that would be great for everybody else to kind of learn from. Thank you.
Okay, for me it's twofold. One thing is my personal insight. I learned that there's stress on every level, whether you are your administrator or your director. So you can benefit from coaching at every level. And the second insight for creating coaching culture in a pool is you need sponsors. You need somebody on the top level who is all in for that.
We realized with our transformation to an agile organization that we have coaches on executive and on the team level, but the middle management was totally lost. And still lost, I have to say. We have now created a program, 5 modules, and one of them is coaching comments. To learn what is a coach, and I fully agree with Malcolm, what he said on Monday. You cannot be a supervisor or a director or a boss, let's say this, and coach. You can use the elements of coaching to question it better, to listen better, active listen. And this is what we are now doing, that we will here empower our middle management to do this stuff. And also, and this is mostly a benefit now, if they got this information in training, in reflection, they understand also what is coaching. And that's what we hope will also boost in the organization.
And maybe one insight from from my perspective as an internal coach. We have usually for this project right now we have daily meetings and also we have our coaching meetings. And after every meeting, I would say I'm more energized than I was before because you have so many great conversations with the coaches. And to have those, of course, you cannot have them all day long, of course, because you have processes and stuff like that. But to have those meetings and to share the ideas and the way how we work, the way how we think, the way how we accept that coaching is open source, and to make the best of it gives me a lot of energy.
Last question.
So there's also what next. So I'm curious, what, in your respective organizations, what would it take for coaching to become a department or a sub-department with its own regular budget, which gets discussed quarter on quarter, year on year, like any other department, like operations, finance, analytics, data, product management? What would it take to get there?
Thank you, Frederick.
In our case, I have to say to reorganize our metrics because we are an agile organization. So we have to implement this in chapters at the end, but there will not be a specific department like that. It's belong on the structure of our system, and this will not, let's say, work. You have to have spotlights, or we have person who relies on that and will fulfill it. That's the way. And so it's a pity to say that. But I think a system and organization lives from the people are in, and this will be more growing. And yeah, this will be more sufficient at the end to go this way.
Yeah, from my side, it's a good question. And the coaches itself, we also discussed some time ago, and we do it every time when we meet. Wouldn't it be great to be employed as a coach 100% and just do the job every day? Yeah, we are doing it at Vodafone. So we have internal coaches who are part-time coaches and have a job. And there's two good reasons for that. On one hand, you're part of the business, so you see every day what's going on in the business. So you're not outside, you're an insider to the business, that's a benefit. Also for your main job, when you do coaching sometimes during the week, it's so energizing. It gives you a different perspective to it. So you gain from doing coaching as a coach as well. And the second thing is my personal view, if you would create a department with internal coaches, 40, 50 people, you probably get questions every year, okay, can't we do it with 30 people? And that's not going to do a good job then. So you would need to justify budgets, maybe just headcounts. And with our approach to have an internal coaching group which is part-time coaches, we don't have this issue. That's great.
I would ask a slightly different question. Instead of how can we have an organization for coaching, I would say how can we create value for the company, like the outcome. And I think this is also related to the Mittelstand, what they say, to smaller companies. They want to have something back. And when we can prove that it pays off, then people pay, then they are willing to pay for that. Of course, you need, as I say, the ethics, standard, and these things, but it can be any part of the organization, because when you start to set it up like a platform, sit there and I can ask, why don't you ask one of the platform vendors or somebody to provide the coaches, which is a slightly different thing, but to start with the value, not always easy, but to start with it, and as soon as people see the value, what you create with coaching, then it's just a natural move to grow.
Thank you very much. We're approaching the end of the hour. Thank you for your attention, for your questions. I would sum up this hour with Let the Coaching Emerge. And I ask you for a warm applause for Sabine, Stefan, and